Well, British Prime Minister Liz Truss announced her resignation today amid political turmoil in the UK.
Truss only became Prime Minister on September 6th. It will be the shortest term in modern political history.
What happened and what happens next? Nils Ringe, I'm saying that right?
Ringe
is a professor of political science at UW-Madison, and earlier we asked him how Truss got into so much trouble so quickly.
Yeah, that's a very good question. She's only been in office for about 6 weeks. She succeeded Boris Johnson, a pretty notable political escape artist, but who ultimately was brought down by a string of lies and scandals that he wasn't even able to politically survive. So Liz Truss came into office and basically immediately announced a series of pretty radical tax cuts, especially for the wealthy, with the expectation and also the promise that this would essentially lead to a kind of economic rejuvenation for the United Kingdom. But it turned out that it was really not made clear at all how these tax cuts and other economic measures would be financed, which on the one hand spooked the markets because they were concerned about more national debt, and it also spooked the voters who were worried about, essentially regular Britons having to, cough up the funds for those tax cuts. And so it pretty dramatically backfired. Rather than ringing in a kind of new era of prosperity, it brought about pretty much the opposite. And so from day one, you had these bets going for just how long Liz Truss might actually stay in office, and it turns out it was not very long. So she had to replace her finance minister, who was one of her closest allies. The new finance minister came in and pretty much revoked every single measure that she had announced in the preceding weeks, making her look very weak. This then coupled with some chaotic votes in the House of Commons, the Parliament yesterday, and a couple of potential other resignations, ultimately then led to her resignation after only 45 days in office.
How unprecedented is all of this?
Yeah, I had to look that up, actually. It is unprecedented in the modern era, 45 days in office. I think in 1835, there was a prime minister who was in office for 23 days. But in the modern era, this is a remarkably short tenure in office.
Who are the next contenders? I've read some that former Prime Minister Boris Johnson is even being considered to possibly return. Is that possible?
It's possible. I don't know if it is politically likely. It would probably not be a particularly good idea. But some of her rivals, so Liz Truss came to office after a leadership contest in the Conservative Party this summer. And so some of her rivals from this summer are now jockeying for the position again. Boris Johnson may also be trying to throw his head in the ring. I don't really see that going very far, but I will also admit that I have learned over the years not to count Boris Johnson out. So I would be surprised, but I don't think that is the likely scenario here. I think the Conservatives are going to try to somehow weather this crisis without new elections, in which they would they might well be devastated in those elections. So they're going to try to do what they can to avoid it. Labour, of course, is going to very hard push for this, and we'll see where this comes out.
You think politics are strange in this country. Nils, thanks for being with us today. Great observations.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.